Welcome to this week's episode of Between Two Ferns. Welcome to Kitchen Notes, Chef Notes. We'll work. It's a working title.
Yeah.
What's up, guys? Matthew here from The Art of Eating. Thank you for tuning in. I am here today with Connor McGinn of Connor McGinn Studios at Maker Central.
Yes, sir.
Welcome. Happy to have you.
Happy to have you.
Connor is my first
my
guest.
Place. This is your camera, but it's my place.
This is actually, you're right, you're hosting me.
Yeah. So I'm happy to have you.
That would be more accurate. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got started with pottery? Has it always been pottery and ceramics?
No, it was food. Well, it was a bunch of different stuff for a while. I bounced around for a while. I went to school for business.
Okay. Very different.
Didn't really want to have anything to do with that.
We're really not meant for the 9 to 5.
No. Yeah. So sitting in class doing like econ and stats classes was just brutal.
Yeah, that sounds
So I ended up finding myself in, there was a ceramic studio on campus and I had to take a fine arts credit.
Cool.
So I'd go in there and just fuck around every semester.
You can't curse on this channel.
Oh, well, fuck your channel. Before I actually started making plates for a restaurant, the only time that I had ever made plates, I walked into the studio one day and it's middle of class and I'm looking around. I'd thrown these 6 plates because my professor was like, hey, I want you to try to do sets of stuff. Cool. I was like, all right, let me try to make some dinner plates. So I threw these like 6 12-inch dinner plates. I thought they were really good. And the way the process is, you make them, you have to let them dry for a day or two, and then you flip them over and you trim them.
Gotcha.
So I'm searching everywhere. Right? Yeah, gotcha. Yeah. So I'm searching everywhere for these fucking things. And I look like on my shelf. I look if they went through the bisque kiln first firing. I look if somebody else took them by accident, or if somebody broke them and they're in the recycling bucket. Can't find them anywhere. I found one of them. I'm walking around and my professor's sitting there working on stuff, and he's like, what are you looking for? I was like, I can't find those plates. Remember those plates that I had that I threw? He's like, you serious? And I was like, yeah, what? He's like, you don't remember? I'm like, what are you talking about, Dave?
It's college, right?
Yeah.
All right.
And he's like, you came in here the other night at about 3 a.m.
Oh my God.
all fucked up, and insisted that you wanted to trim these plates. And I told you, dude, you should wait.
Now is not the time.
It's not the time to be doing this. But you were real confident about it, and I just sat here and watched you trim through every single one of them, right through the bottoms. So I made 1 plate in college, but a bunch of coffee mugs and vases and shit.
Cool.
And then after school, I ended up going to the Peace Corps, probably to avoid any sort of actual job going into the business world. But I went I went to the Peace Corps as a small business development advisor. So I worked with a bunch of small businesses.
So you did use that a little bit, your degree in sense. Good.
Yeah. In a weird kind of roundabout.
You're going to open a business? Way. I'm actually going to join the Peace Corps and teach business without actually going through the business.
Yeah,
It's very bold.
Because I was really competent at that point. I knew what I was doing. But anyway, I came back from there, decided I wanted to cook. It was just something that I was like passionate about and cared about. So ended up getting a job at Restaurant North in Armonk for these couple of young guys who were just killing it. Yeah, they're Danny Meyer guys.
Yeah.
Respected the fuck out of it. It was just like an amazing place to work. But then it was kind of looking down the barrel of a career in a restaurant. I found that there was this weird sense of this almost like competitive nature. You would see people come through, get burnt out, get pushed out.
Oh my God, all the time.
And then the way that the conversation goes in the kitchen after that happens is, oh, this fucking guy couldn't hack it.
Right.
This girl couldn't hack it.
Right.
They were, they bitched out. They're a sellout. Somebody went and worked for Cisco.
Right.
Worked for like a food truck. Like, what do you do?
Growing up when I was in kitchens too, going through that like same stigma, working in like a little bit more higher end kitchens, and for those people and those bigger names, it was brutal. Even when I was in school, they kind of groomed us to believe that like, hey, this is where you need to be. This is where you need to work towards. But mental health, quality of living, the future, like you said, like, hey, are you going to be able to have a family and have kids and have that whole thing? It doesn't exist. So like being now 30 and looking back and seeing other people, friends and other colleagues who went through school with me and everything, and they're like, yeah, I did take a corporate job in the business, or I did work at a hotel, or I'm working at Cisco and all that kind of shit. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah, and I got
Jealous.
family and kids.
You talking about you got stability?
savings
You got a
account.
health care? What?
Yeah.
What? So like, I don't blame it,
crazy.
and I wish I knew that growing up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would have taken a different approach. I wouldn't have burnt myself out 5 years working in 3 Michelin star restaurants. Don't get me wrong, I got obsessed with it, and it was something I couldn't get enough of at one point. But it was also tough. It wasn't great for my mental health. It wasn't great, you know, for my future per se. Now I'm stuck here making podcast videos, interviewing you.
They're
know?
terrible
So
too.
it's
You should really get some
awful.
better guests on this.
The first time I ever ate at a restaurant, and it was like, holy shit, this isn't about food anymore. I think I was like 21, 22 years old, and it was at Per Se. And like moving forward, I always chased those sort of experiences because it's way more than just a meal. You're not sitting down, you're not getting an appetizer, an entree, and a dessert or anything like that. It's, hey, come to my restaurant, and I'm going to teach you about the food of the Southwest, or the food of my indigenous people, or like rustic Italian peasant food. Or when I went to Peru, a perfect example, and I spoke with Virgilio Martinez and sat down with him, one of the first things he said, he's like, you're not going to like everything I'm going to give you today. That's not the point. I'm not trying to appease you, I'm not trying to make you happy or anything like that. I'm trying to educate you. People come to Peru and they're like, this land is gorgeous, oh my God, like let's take our pictures, take the tours and all that kind of stuff. And there's areas that get very stuffy and touristy, and it's like, we're still poor. We're a third world country still. I want to teach you about that. So like every course wasn't so much like, you gotta try this. It was like, hey, at this certain elevation in the jungle, this is the only ingredients that are available to these people. This is what they have to eat to survive.
Yeah.
So you're eating and you're educating yourself like, man, like, and this guy is now using these flavors and is feeling inspired or influenced and putting them in like different nuances that are like just blowing your mind. You know what I mean? Like, it's that level of experience, it's that level of education where I feel like food needs to start going now, especially after this pandemic. It's not just going to cut it off like, oh, I want to go out, grab a plate of pasta or something like that and go ahead and do that. People can now do that at home. People can just order takeout and do that. What's really going to draw people to restaurants is more than just like what you're eating, but what you're giving them. Where are we? These are actually blank, so. I've been watching a lot of Between Two Ferns, and I was like, this looks easy. Any idiot can do this.
Well,
So,
I think the issue is that that's a banana tree, and that's, I don't know what it is.
neither of these are ferns?
No.
That's literally going to throw off the entire title of my segment.
Yeah.
We may have to redo this.
Between
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 not
Two
two ferns.
Ferns.
That's actually how you not get sued. So we may run with that
There you
instead.
go. Cool,
actually.
cool. I bet they're definitely going to come after you. with
I'm a
your
large production
massive
company and a lot of
following,
money.
and you're
In your own words, what was the idea behind having Makers Central?
I think the idea, honestly, like I wish that I could say, like, you know, I found this space and I had this vision and I wanted to build this community and, you know, build it to what it is now and what I hope it will be in the future. That would be a bit disingenuous because I don't think that, I can't say that like I or my partner Stetson knew really what we were doing. We definitely didn't know what we were doing. We didn't even necessarily know exactly what we were trying to create. But I think that kind of keeping our minds open and keeping the kind of blinders off, so it wasn't this tunnel vision of, hey, this is our goal, we know what the goal is because we know what's right, what it should be.
Right.
But rather, we're going to go in a direction and open ourselves up to opportunities as they pop up. So at first it was, we need a space, and other people need space. So let's allow other people to come in. The idea really was, I was in a shared space and it was not big enough and I needed to start my own business.
Right.
And when you do that, you have to deal with finding a physical space, which we spent a year looking for a space, everywhere from like a basement to a garage to warehouses to whatever. So the stress of doing that, plus when it gets past a certain point and you need your own space, it's difficult. You have to go out and find your own spot. So the thought was, gather a group of individuals who are like-minded, who are working towards creating handmade, functional goods, ideally geared towards hospitality, the restaurant industry, so that we can not only each get the benefit of having a space and sharing rent and utilities in the space, and to be able to share ideas and help each other out on the business aspect of things, because I'm not going to teach Matt how to make a fucking knife.
No way.
I got no idea.
Right.
But if he needs help finding a photographer,
Right. A
or-
marketing guy.
yeah,
Right.
then we can all kind of collaborate on
Having
that.
workshops, having someone come in and be like teaching you for an hour about like social media or
Yes,
something is a perk
exactly.
of being involved in this
Yeah.
sort of. No, totally.
And then you
That's
get a chef who comes in who's saying, hey, I'm looking for plates for my new restaurant. And you can say, well, where are you getting your tables? Do you have menus? Are you doing it? Or somebody comes in for a wedding.
Who does paper. I got a guy who does tables, bowls, serving platters.
Floral installation.
Yeah, cutting boards, knives.
Yeah.
It's
which was a terrible idea to start multiple businesses based on the hospitality industry right before a pandemic. But
nobody foreseen that happening.
Yeah, honestly, it ended up making it. That kind of proved the concept. Once the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
And at first it was like, we're fucked.
Right.
Within the last 2 years, I just started 2 businesses, both which heavily rely on restaurants or businesses who all rely on restaurants.
Right.
We're fucked.
Yeah. Which you weren't crazy for going into. I mean, behind oil, the hospitality industry is the #1 industry in the country.
Everybody needs food. Everybody's always going to eat. We're right by the city. We're, this is an infallible idea.
Yeah. No, it's genius.
Yeah. So.
Not in a pandemic.
Yeah, but then it pretty quickly became apparent when everything really hit shit really hit the fan, and you come in here and you're like, I had all these orders, I had all this stuff I was supposed to be doing, and now it's all canceled. It's all fucked. I sent home all my employees. There's only so much time I can spend cleaning up, rearranging things, rethinking about things, but it's just so frequently, like, I'm sure everybody, you're just fucking depressed.
Right.
It's just like, what's the point of any of it? I don't want to do this. I know there's people out there who are, I could pivot, I could do this, but I just don't feel like doing anything today. Come in here because that's just my natural reaction. Just wake up and I come in here, but it's lonely not having employees in here. And then somebody like Dan walks in the door, Zabia, and he's like, yo, I've been thinking about this idea. So I'm doing this. We're going to do takeout stuff, and I'm going to cook these dinners, and I'm going to be able to bring stuff to people's doors. And we're doing this, we're doing that, we're doing that. And then, Carlos and Elena come in, and they're like, all right, we're going to start doing stuff for people's homes instead of we're going to start doing installations because people are spending so much time at home. And it's like, all right,
how are you going to pivot?
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Quit your fucking bitching and do something. Because you're not the only one. You're in a way better off situation than the vast majority of people. And, suck it up and do something. And to be able to have that support system, however distanced away it was, we don't have family meals anymore.
Right.
We're not sitting next to each other eating.
Right.
We're doing socially distanced things. We had a few Zoom meetings that were awkward and weird.
Yeah, right.
But, to be able to have that support system in here really
Definitely
proved the concept that it was like, hey, this works. It's more than
for sure.
It's more than a bunch of individuals working in
like
here
you
on
said,
their own.
You built a community, and you're feeding off of each other, and you're learning from each other. And in times of despair, such as this, you guys rose to the occasion, and I think that's fucking inspiring. You know what I mean?
It's
like,
been crazy.
Look at your books right now. How busy are you right now?
Oh,
a year into the pandemic.
Yeah.
The first few months were shit. Nobody knew what was going on. Like, nobody knew what was going on. But now, getting your bearings and everybody, I'm sure you hear it. We have people in here working right now, trying to meet ends, deadlines, and shit like that. You were kind enough to fit me into your schedule. I know you have a busy day today,
I didn't
too.
want to do this, but
Fair
all these
enough.
people are watching.
Well, I told him.
I have to keep talking.
I told
to you.
him
I don't
he's
normally
owed me a
ramble
few
like
favors.
this. You told me those are going to be a different kind, but
Yeah.
if you want me to say.
Talk to me about. Let's talk about the pandemic, right? Because that's on everybody's mind these days, right?
That's great.
What? How's this pandemic affected not only your business, but how you see that it's affected the restaurants that you have been dealing with?
I think for my business, like anybody else, everything just stopped, shut down. From the beginning, it was, we were cranking. It was the busiest that I had been. I had, I think, 4 employees. We were, really cruising. It was, going kind of as planned. And everything stopped. So we had to send everybody home. Luckily, the space is big enough where I was still able to come in and working just on my own. It was fine. But, I had boxes over there of plates with restaurant names on them. They were literally ready to go out the door. And had to, they're like, hey, we can't take these. And I'm not going to be like, yo, you ordered these plates. give me my money when you're laying off your entire staff and not allowed to serve anybody on plates. You know, I'm sure if you can reopen, you're investing in, you know, paper goods and shit.
Yeah.
So that was a bit of a struggle. And then luckily we were like maybe 80% of the way there with trying to get an online retail shop up. So I was able to kind of scramble, and most of the photography was already done. We were in the middle of photographing stuff, and most of it was done. So I was able to take that and work with a few people remotely and get the online business going and get some sales going. Things are like starting to open back up. Capacity at restaurants. You're allowed to do indoor dining in the city. You're, you know, so I've been getting a flood of inquiries and orders from restaurants. So it's been interesting, this now transition back to restaurants when we shifted over to doing fully individuals for retail on the website. Now trying to manage both of those, and so, you know, rolling with the punches. But it's really interesting to see, I think, the way the restaurant industry is opening back up. And I think it's going to be, I've had these conversations with a few people like throughout the pandemic. I think it's going to be fascinating to see the way the world of hospitality changes as it's opened up. This downtime where you have all of these people who are used to working fucking 70, 80-hour weeks or grinding away, working as line cooks and sous chefs and chefs, and now they've been stripped away, they have to sit at home. They're not cooking.
Yeah.
They're cooking for themselves. They're cooking for their like couple of close friends, now a few more, and they're thinking, ruminating, like, all right, what are these ideas? And you have a lot of restaurants are not going to reopen, which
Not going to reopen, no.
is terrible.
Yeah.
And not to take away from that, but you also have a lot of people who've been just pivoting and adapting this whole time.
For sure.
And then a lot of people, I get the feeling in the sense that you've got a lot of line cooks sitting at home, not doing shit, cooking, experimenting, playing around, thinking, because they've always wanted to have their own spot anyway.
100%.
So you have some who are going to say, fuck this world, I'm out, I'm doing something else.
Totally.
But then you're going to have all these like young, creative, ambitious people, and we've got a lot of empty restaurants, and there's a lot of
cheap space,
a lot of cheap
a lot of
kitchens
landlords who are
that
now
already-
like, holy shit, we need to fill these spaces.
Yeah,
So and so had to go
for-
bankrupt. They left their business. Well, what are we going to do now? No, I
Turnkey
agree.
operations.
This next chapter, what we're about to see, 2022, and we're going to see a big wave of restaurants coming up, of cool concepts too.
Yeah,
I don't think it's just
full-
going to be like, hey, come in, we'll do 3 turns, we'll bang it out, blah, blah, blah. You're going to see tasting style menus. You're going to see 2 to 3 hour experience dining, you know, centers. I feel like it's also going to be more common. I don't think it's like those things existed before, of course, you know, but it's not necessarily going to be attached to a $300 price tag and a huge wine pairing. It's going to be more of the norm everywhere and for everyone. Hey, why don't you come in and do 4 courses? It's curated. You could do this 4-course menu, this 4-course menu, or this 4-course menu. Maybe it's like land, sea, and the farm or something, and you have 4 different. So there's a lot of other creativities and creators, for that matter, that are, like you said, have been idle hands, just itching to do something. And now you have what? I mean, I don't know how it's going to be with the banks and everything like that. In terms of the economy and everything swinging back and how they're going to need it, our bank's going to be a little bit more lucrative to giving out more loans and more money to just
interest rates
people
are fucking nothing right now.
That's what I mean.
Literally.
If you're buying a house and trying to get a mortgage, it's very low and very easy right
Yeah.
now. Why shouldn't that be the case with getting loans for businesses and restaurants and stuff? Nah, man, I think it's going to be super exciting
really
to see.
interesting to
You're going to see curbside style restaurants. You know, I'm already seeing some kind of stuff. I have a friend who left his restaurant group. It's a Westchester-based restaurant group. I'll refrain from using the name. He left and just started his own restaurant in Bedford Hills. It's got maybe like 6 or 8 seats in it. It's more so bar style for like independent diners just want to roll in there, get a quick lunch or dinner or something like that. It's based off of curbside. You know, and the menu is built for curbside. We have all of these amazing cuisines and stuff, right? A lot of restaurants, why I feel that they failed, and it's not their fault, nobody prepared or was expecting anything like this, but the restaurants that flourished and survived during this time was your pizza joints, right? Pasta joints, Italian joints, just in general, and your Asian restaurants. Although they were getting a lot of backlash and people were boycotting them anyway because we live in an ignorant America. So fucking stupid. Those were the businesses that kept it going because they had the infrastructure already in place for takeout, curbside, rolling out. We don't need anybody to come into our restaurant. You go to a takeout restaurant, like a takeout Chinese spot, what is it, 2 tables in there? It's a counter and they're just doing delivery, takeout, pickup constantly. So I feel like we're going to see a lot of new restaurants, not those kinds of cuisines, something you wouldn't expect to have that nice fluent, cohesive infrastructure of running that sort of business. Maybe we see more like takeout Mexican restaurants or more takeout fast casual French restaurants.
It's gonna be really fucking good food.
Yeah.
Really high quality food without all the bullshit, without the white tablecloths, without the stupid fancy fucking plates. They're gonna break.
There's a restaurant in Brooklyn that I actually used to be a part of. It's a bunch of old Stone Barns people who went and opened it. Olmsted is what it's called. And it is Michelin quality food, absolutely delicious. It's beautiful, it's striking. The experience is all part of that neighborhood friendly vibe. It's jumping. Again, I'm talking pre-pandemic when the place was absolutely packed. The music was great.
He's been doing shit. Greg, right?
Greg, nothing on the menu is over $24. Everything is very affordable, everything's very neighborhood friendly, and you're still getting that like rutabaga tagliatelle. Wait, it's not pasta, but it's cooked like, you know what I mean? You're evoking that thought process and that emotion, which I feel like we're going to get more of those kinds of restaurants. Because also with the pandemic, people want to go out to eat more and stuff, but people are also a little bit more, I feel, frugal with their money. Or at least I am. Like, I literally lost my job for 7 months straight. So like keeping that in mind, of course I want to go out and be social still, but where am I spending my money? Am I still going to be that asshole going out to $300 restaurants every single month with my girlfriend? Because that's how I like to live. I don't go to sports.
I don't do it for the grand.
They got to see it, man. Everyone's got to see it. No, that's my guilty pleasure though. Since I was in college, that's always kind of been the way. Like concerts, cool, great, shows, whatever, sports, whatever. I would rather go and spend.
It's a different form of it. It's an experience.
It's still entertainment.
It's like
100%. And to me, it's education. You know what I mean? I'm training my palate further. I'm trying new different things and stuff. So like anytime someone's like, no, I'd rather go, or someone gets backlash for spending too much money at a restaurant, I'm like, good for you, man. It is what it is. You know, like I don't. And especially like from being vetted in the business and knowing these people and how hard they work and stuff, like I completely get where it's coming from, you know? But I'd like to see more fast casual upscale restaurants, if I may call them that, pop up a little bit more, you know? And, and the young people who are about to boom, like you got the vets who have the money, who have ran businesses before and they know what they're doing, kind of like coming out and constantly putting out restaurants. Well, we have groomed the younger generation to kind of also do this. They just don't have the money in the bank to push themselves
or
say,
or time to even think about it.
Yeah, because they're slaving away because they think that, hey, I need to put 80 hours into a Michelin star restaurant to make it somewhere. It's not the case, man. Good food can be found anywhere. Thank you again for joining me today and doing this first one with me.
Yeah, man.
It means a lot. I can't wait for people to show
this. I'm happy to be here first.
And see this.
You know? I've been waiting for you to ask.
Connor McGinn Studios, based in Tarrytown. I'll connect all of his information, his website, his handles. Check him out. If you've been following my channel for long enough or continue to follow it after watching this interview and you don't think it sucks or anything like that, all of the plates,
cooking content is
like
a lot better.
90% of the plates that I use, everything is on his plates, man. He is my muse. He is my canvas. And thank you for everything you do for me and everyone around us in this area.
Most flattering words anybody's ever told me.
I appreciate it. Cut right now to some sweet B-roll of him throwing some clay and making some magic happen. And we'll see you soon, man.
Yeah, man. We gotta
do that
here soon. We'll do a little cooking. Yeah,
Sounds good.
I think we're allowed to touch, right?
Thank you. Yeah, we're tested, so we're good.